Welcome. Welcome to a part of your past, to a part of your heritage. The time capsule you have just opened was placed in this building at its opening in February 1988. And the presentation you're about to see was just one of the many events celebrating the relocation of our new corporate headquarters to Orlando's tallest, most modern building of 1988.
My granddaughter just opened her first account at the First, over at that new building they just moved into.
They promised to make my money life easier.
That's quite a place they got over there.
It's awesome.
When I opened my first account at the First, they didn't have all the modern technology and all the computers. But they made promises, and they kept them.
Do they still keep their promises?
Every single one. And in this day and age, that is truly awesome.
The First FA's new home truly is awesome. And the move to the First FA building marks a special time in our corporate history. It's a milestone for the association, and it signals a renaissance for banking customers throughout Central Florida. With the move to this building, the First FA assumed a leadership position in banking, a new progressive image, and a more active and visible role in the community. February 16th, 1988 was the single richest moment in our 56-year history.
Love doesn't grow on trees. Baby, don't be so hard to please. Baby, I've been in love with you from the start. Love is a precious thing. Honey, love makes a rainy day sunny. Don't let the sun go down in my heart.
A history that began in 1934. Orlando was just beginning to take shape as a city when H.H. Dixon was appointed president of First Federal Savings and Loan. We opened the doors of this building with a whopping $5,100 in capital. Mr. Dixon's mission was simple in 1934.
We're here for one reason, to provide home loans to hundreds of people moving into Orlando. And to do that, we need to establish a sound asset base. And by the end of 1935, we hope to have assets of $250,000.
Well, Mr. Dixon surpassed his goal. Under his direction, Central Floridians came to depend on us for home loans as they would for the next 56 years. This building would remain First Federal's home for about 6 years, until 1940.
And he fell down. Anybody else would too. But I fell up to heaven when I fell in love with you.
Events were taking place all over the world that would soon change all of our lives. The Nazi Party was consolidating its power in Europe. Americans were flocking to see Orson Welles in Citizen Kane.
Rosebud.
And while the United States was getting tough with Japan and building itself into the world's industrial giant,
First Federal Savings and Loan was moving all the way across the street to this corner of Pine and Court. W.R. O'Neill was First Federal's president at the time, and his term as the association's leader was marked with accomplishment.
Yes, we enjoyed great success from 1935 to 1945. In that 10-year period, our assets grew 48-fold to $12 million. We stayed profitable, we operated lean, and we treated our customers with personal courtesy every day.
Employment had grown tremendously, and on opening day, nearly 15 people reported for work here, just across the street from our original building. After the war, the country became vibrant, and that vibrancy was reflected in our growth. Everything was as it should be in the 1950s.
In 1952, the Yanks were world champs again. Humphrey Bogart was our favorite actor.
This air, isn't it wonderful?
Yeah. It's like, I know you don't approve, but it's like a shot of gin. Makes your blood race, your face numb, and your spirit soar.
I'm sorry I poured that gin out, Charlie.
Oh, forget it, Rosie. And just to show you there's no hard feelings, I'll make you another cup of tea.
Harry Truman was our president.
To tell us we're too young.
And Too Young spent 12 weeks at #1 on the Lucky Strike hit parade. That's when First Federal Savings and Loan began to hit its stride. Growth was steady, and we literally became an Orlando institution. By 1952, assets reached $139 million, and it was time for bigger quarters again. That brought First Federal Savings and Loan of Orlando to South Court Street, practically right next door to our previous location. This building would remain home for more than 12 years and serve as the savings and lending institution for thousands of Orlando residents. O.P. Swope was our president then, and under his leadership, First Federal Savings and Loan launched its network of branch locations. The Dixie Village branch opened its doors for the first time in the early 50s, and the residents of South Orlando noticed that their money lives got a little easier.
Then in the early 60s, First Federal took its first step into the automation age. Postronic machines were introduced to our association, and passbook savings transactions would never again be a manual operation. First Federal had taken its first small leap into the future.
Things changed fast in the 60s. While President Kennedy was holding live press conferences for the first time, Elvis was getting out of the Army. We were all anxious about the Cuban Missile Crisis and the threat of a nuclear war. And we were thrilled when John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth in 1962.
Godspeed, John Glenn. 5, 4.
That same year, Joseph M. Big Daddy Grossen became the 4th president of our association. Fast growth, stimulated by promotion, characterized his administration, but the accomplishments of the Grossen era were most evident in 1964, when yet another location change was needed.
If I give my heart to you, I must be sure from the very
1964, a year of innocence and relative peace in the country, was also a year of prosperity. The Beatles overwhelmed us and allowed us to be carefree for just a little longer.
trust in you. Oh, please don't run and hide if I love.
There were only 20,000 men in Vietnam, and there was talk of pulling out all U.S. servicemen by the end of '65. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed in Congress, and Cassius Clay amazed us with his ability and humility.
Oh, I'm so great. Oh, I'm so great. Oh, sugar, and what makes it so good? All of these hypocrites, you can't call it a fix. You can't call it a fix because I didn't stop the fight. The doctors had to stop it. Oh, I'm so pretty.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night. I should be sleeping like a log.
And while the Beatles were making their move to the movie screen, First Federal was moving to Magnolia Avenue.
This building would be our home until 1988, and it would be in this building that our institution would begin to evolve from a conservative, regulated S&L into an innovative financial services company.
In 1975, Sherman Dantzler was named president, and it was under his leadership that the First FA became the retail-oriented, highly competitive financial institution that people know today. It was no easy task. The mood of the country was somber and tense in the mid-70s. A president had resigned in disgrace, and our only unelected president was trying desperately to whip double-digit inflation. Equal rights was a hot issue, and even though the Equal Rights Amendment was getting nowhere, 10-year-old girls did win their right to play Little League Baseball in 1975. We made fun of ourselves that year. All in the Family, MASH, and The Jeffersons were our favorite TV shows. Shows that all humorously but openly depicted bigotry and a predisposition to stereotypes.
Mr. Dantzler would see us through the 70s. He would be at the helm during the booming 80s. He would be the man to see the first through the deregulation of the banking industry. The boom of the early 80s eventually turned to bust, and when many thrifts suffered terrible losses, First FA showed its strength and stability, a strength and stability that had been built since 1935.
In the 1980s, the First FA introduced checking accounts, innovative home mortgage products, commercial banking services, and investment-oriented savings products.
The evolution of this product line caused growth to surge dramatically, and by 1987, the First FA was a $1.1 billion financial institution. The First FA was moving up in the business world and was moving into bigger quarters again.
So we packed up once more, and we all left some fond memories behind. In a special ceremony, James Robinson, our longest-standing member of the board, conducted the final transaction at the Magnolia Street headquarters. Mr. Dantzler and Senior Vice President Jack Sherrick closed the Magnolia Street doors behind us, and with those doors, they closed another chapter in the history of the First FA.
Now a brand new chapter would open. The most exciting chapter yet would begin with this move to new corporate headquarters.
Beginning in 1988, it would be the First FA who called Orlando's tallest, most modern building home. It was the name of the First FA that would dominate Orlando's skyline, and it was the name of the First FA that would be celebrated by the financial community, the city's leadership, and the media. In February 1988, our association was brimming with excitement. Sherman Dantzler himself made the first transaction at 9 o'clock a.m. on February 16th. Earlier that morning, Mr. Sherrick inaugurated drive-through service at our new headquarters. And that evening, an event that was attended by dignitaries, news personalities, and local business leaders was the forum for the dedication of the time capsule that would be opened on our 100th anniversary. Our change in attitude and our change in spirit is symbolized by a building, but it is embodied in the people who work here, who meet our customers with a smile, and who have a commitment to make our customers' money lives easier. The renaissance in banking has begun. Its evidence is tangible and dramatic. Its impetus is more subtle, but more powerful.
Because the First is not a building or one man or corporate institution, but all of us who have a desire to excel, who want to feel a sense of accomplishment, and who recognize that our most valuable assets are not measured in dollars and cents, but in the satisfaction of our customers. That's why we can say we are the First. So this is your heritage. We put this tape and the other items you found here 46 years ago so that you could have a better understanding of your past, so that you could have some fun, and so that you could smile at how much things have changed, and also so that you would have a better understanding in the year 2034 of what it means to say we are the First.